There is a realization that hits differently once you've come this far, something almost uncomfortable in its honesty, that growth was never really blocked by the algorithm or luck or timing, but by a lack of clarity, a lack of precision, a lack of understanding of how deeply human behavior controls everything on this platform. And once that realization settles in, it changes the way you see every video, every creator, every viral moment you come across, because now you're not just watching, you're decoding. You begin to see patterns where others see randomness. You start noticing why certain videos feel irresistible within seconds, why some thumbnails create an instant pull, why some narratives keep you locked in without effort, and this awareness becomes almost automatic, almost instinctive, because once your brain is trained to recognize attention triggers, it cannot unsee them. And this is where your content starts to evolve again, not in a drastic, visible way, but in subtle refinements that compound over time. The way you phrase your opening line, the way you delay information just enough to build curiosity, the way you transition between ideas without losing momentum, and these small changes create a noticeable difference in how your videos perform. Because at this level, improvement is no longer about big changes, it is about micro-optimization, about refining the small details that most people overlook, because those small details collectively shape the viewer's experience, and the viewer's experience determines everything. At the same time, you begin to understand something deeper about attention. It is not constant, it fluctuates, it rises and falls. And your job is not to eliminate those fluctuations, but to manage them, to guide them, to ensure that when attention dips, it quickly rises again. And this control over attention flow is what keeps retention stable. And this is why structure becomes more fluid, less rigid, because you are no longer following a fixed formula. You are adapting in real time, adjusting pacing, shifting tone, introducing variation based on how the content feels as it unfolds. And this flexibility allows your videos to feel more natural, more engaging. But even with all this control, there is still unpredictability because you are dealing with people, with emotions, with behaviors that cannot be perfectly controlled. And accepting this uncertainty is part of the process because it allows you to focus on what you can control, your execution, your structure, your understanding. And this acceptance removes frustration, replacing it with focus, because now every video becomes an opportunity to refine, to improve, to test something new, rather than a pass or fail judgment of your ability. Meanwhile, your audience continues to grow, not just in numbers, but in depth, in connection, in familiarity with your style. And this deeper connection increases engagement, increases loyalty, increases the likelihood that your content will perform consistently. And this consistency creates stability, and stability creates confidence, not just in your results, but in your process, because you now trust your ability to create content that works, even if every video is not a massive success. At this stage, your biggest advantage is no longer just knowledge, it is experience, the accumulation of patterns you've seen, mistakes you've corrected, strategies you've refined, and this experience allows you to make faster, better decisions. And faster decisions lead to more output, more testing, more refinement, creating a cycle of continuous improvement that accelerates your growth even further. But there is also a risk here. Complacency, the idea that you've figured it out completely, and this is where many creators plateau because they stop pushing, stop experimenting, stop evolving, and the system quickly moves past them. So the challenge becomes maintaining curiosity, maintaining the drive to improve even when things are working, because growth at this level requires continuous effort, continuous awareness. And this is what separates those who peak from those who sustain, those who achieve temporary success from those who build long-term influence, because sustaining growth requires as much discipline as achieving it. And as you continue forward, one thing becomes increasingly clear. There is no final destination, no point where you complete YouTube, because the system evolves, the audience evolves, and you must evolve with it. But this is not a limitation, it is an opportunity, because it means there is always room to grow, always room to improve, always room to push further. And once you fully embrace that, once you accept that growth is an ongoing process rather than a final goal, everything becomes clearer, more focused, more intentional. Because at that point, you are no longer chasing success, you are continuously building it, shaping it, refining it, video by video, moment by moment, until growth is no longer something you hope for. It becomes something you consistently create.